On this skin, you can pretty well use anything for soft hackle except for the flight feathers. Okay, so all of these things, and the stuff that's prized is these feathers around the neck. These things have the nice barring. Okay, you can substitute all sorts of things for this. You can substitute, I went over this with Cody, you can substitute grouse or hen feathers or duck feathers like mallard or scaup or things like that. You don't have, teal is another good one that has pronounced barring. But the original pattern sort of calls for partridge. So I break off one of these feathers like this, and then I'm going to get rid of all of the fuzzy stuff. Okay, so I'm left with that. Notice that I leave this thing here. This is my handle. Okay, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to stroke these feathers so that they're sticking out at sort of a 90-degree angle. And these feathers should go, I like to make it so that the feathers on my soft hackles go from here to about the rear of the hook. Okay, other people insist that it has to be from here to the point of the hook. Okay, I don't think that there's any real reason why or why not. So this is how I tie these. I've got to get some thread on there first though. Okay, so basically I'm going to use some green thread. These wet fly hooks always have a gap between the shank and the hook eye, so you have to close that up. Okay. So what I'm basically going to do is I'm going to just take this and I'm going to wrap it in like this. And I'm trying to sort of, it's towards me, but I'm torquing it a little, so that by the time I finish, these things will end up at the rear of the. Okay, and then the traditional way to do this is to tie it so that it actually ends up, the body ends up at the point of the hook. Okay, so I wrap that in nicely. And I go over that, and there's one that's not behaving, so when I get, and there's a couple more that aren't getting out of the way, so I'm going to carefully get in there, snip that one off. Doesn't actually make any difference. Okay, so that's my thing. Okay, now sometimes I just leave that there. That's not traditional, but that's a little, looks like a little tail or something. Okay, so I'm just going to take my thread and put it in front of the hackle, and then I take this with a little spit, I fold these feathers back, and I'm doing, and this is why I like this thing here, because this is my handle. So I wrap it a couple times, and if things don't go the way I want them to go, I force them to go the way I want them to go. Okay, so there's a couple wraps. Okay, I'm going to take this, I'm going to cut that off. Okay, and then build up a little bit of a head. And tie it off. You can put head cement on there if you want. Sometimes I do, but if I'm not going to, I'll always do 2 whip finishes, just for that extra little bit of security. So there's a very simple soft hackle. It uses thread, okay, as the body. It uses the hackle, and you can see that the fibers sort of stick out all over the place. What do fish take these for? I don't know. I think maybe they take them for emerging caddises possibly, or drowned mayflies, or just something good to eat.
Emerging anything.
Emerging anything, yeah. So that's it. No sparkle thread or glitter thread used in this.
That looks like a cow dung. Is that not really?
Yeah, those are the colors of almost the colors of a cow dung, but you can do them in purple or yellow or white or whatever you want, whatever color you want, orange. Okay. Now, one of the problems is, suppose you want to tie a much smaller one, and you want to tie it, say, on a size 14 hook. Okay. Now, size 14 is a small wet fly hook. If I were to put that on, then these hackle fibers, tying it the same way, would be very, very long. They would extend way past the bend of the hook. Okay. There would probably be nothing wrong with that if you did it that way. And there was lots and lots of people who would scream in terror because it's wrong, because it has to conform to some sort of an ideal. I like to try to imitate this. So there's a workaround, which is this, and you just approach it a little differently. Let's debar the hook first. Okay. So there's a tinier hook in there. I'm just going to wrap here. Just make my body. Okay, so there's my body. It's a very short little body. Okay. Now, I should mention that there is one thing that some traditional patterns do, which is before they wrap the hackle, what they do is they put a little ball of dubbing right behind here, and build that up. Usually it's a slightly contrasting color to this, so it's like a different green color or something like that. And that they say keeps the hackles more upright when they're going through the water. I don't think it makes much difference. Okay, so now I have got a limited number of very small hackles that will go there, so I'm going to just pull one of these off. Yeah. I'll use one of these. There. So you pull these things off and you think you've got one feather there, but you've actually got a lot. So pull away the fluff, get rid of that. And then I've got these hackles here, which are just a little too long. So what I'm going to do is I try to get all the ones that are sort of the same length off this side and this side. Basically pull them off there, put them down, pull them off the other side, put them down on top of these, trying to keep them together. Never works out. So I'm trying to keep the butts together. So then I end up with a small bunch like that. Okay, so I'm going to measure them to about the right length, and then I'm going to tie them in loosely, and then I'm going to spread them around the hook shank, and then try to let the torque of the thing, and it's not working so well with this bunch. just basically spread them around so that they're so I've got the hackles sticking out from the front. Trim off the butt ends here. And basically tie that off. So you can see that on top it's pretty good. On the sides it's not so good. But you can sort of force them to go around the hook. And it probably, if I started off with a bigger bundle, I could have gotten more. And they're still only going to about to the bend of the hook.
The other trick you can use too is if you've got a magic loop.
Mm-hmm.
You can
Oh, yep.
Put it through that way and then put it through a dummy loop.
Yep.
The length you want.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yep.
The way that's done is, the way when I was young, my great uncle showed me how to do a tail.
Mm-hmm.
Tail was traditionally, for me, was done around the hook. It was never done above the hook.
Mm-hmm.
So always your tail was encircled, whether it was a wet fly or dry fly.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's the same sort of technique.
Yep.
To just sort of spin it around.
Yep. Yep. That's right. There are all sorts of ways of doing this, and I'm a great believer in there's no right way and no wrong way. Though some people in this room are wrong sometimes.
I'm wrong all the time.
Yeah. And I like simple flies with simple materials that don't take too long to tie. Okay? I like them so that I can, if I'm going on a fishing trip, I can tie a whole bunch of them, you know, a dozen or more, and then I can lose a bunch in trees and fishes and wherever I'm going, whatever mistakes I'm making, and I don't have to worry about it. If I have to spend a long time tying a fly, then I worry about losing it. Like I used to tie flies that took like an hour to tie, and they were all complicated and they had many, many different materials. And then I was afraid to fish them because I would just lose them, and then. But simple flies I found work the best.
You're not afraid to work on them.
And you're not afraid of losing them because you've got another dozen in your box.
Can I ask why you use thread, not floss?
Oh, floss I find just a pain in the ass to use.
Okay.
Okay, if I'm feeling fancy, I will use Purcell's silk thread. Okay.
Because it will change color and get a bit more translucent.
Yeah. It's beautiful stuff, but it's sort of expensive. Yeah. And so I don't really want to lose it and use it for that reason. And then also simple, uni thread. Yeah. I'm not going to worry about losing that. And that's it.
Thank you, man.